I'm live again. Woohoo! So, I want to talk a little bit about what Jayson Tatum said. Did you guys see what Jayson Tatum said? He said that people were asking him, when did you know you were going to win the championship? And you know what he said? He said when Denver lost in the semifinals to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Did you guys hear that? That Jayson Tatum said he knew they were going to win the championship when Denver lost in the semifinals to the Minnesota Timberwolves. We got to talk about that. Let's get into it a little bit, discuss, those comments from Jayson Tatum. Because I think those comments are definitely going to be a little bit polarizing for some people, especially given the fact that the Celtics hadn't won a title in quite some time. They didn't win in 2022 when they went to the NBA Finals. And so I feel like a lot of people are going to have something to say about those comments. So we're going to get into that. But I do want to say quickly before I start, talking about the Jayson Tatum thing, I do have a new feature on here, a little subscription thing. Woohoo! So if you subscribe to my TikTok, there's like a button you can click on my, page. And it's a subscription. And if you subscribe, and pay the monthly fee, you will have access to subscriber-only live streams, subscriber-only content. Like, I will be making specific live stream and certain content for those subscribers. So that would be really exciting. And I appreciate anybody who, participates, joins, all that kind of stuff. And we're going to have fun. Obviously, I'm going to have, content that's still for, non-subscribers as well. But anybody who subscribes, you'll have exclusive access to certain things. And so that is kind of the gist of that. And it's very exciting. So I hope you guys join. So to the Jayson Tatum thing. This is interesting because I think a lot of people were saying that the Celtics were the favorite to win the title, this season that just happened. A lot of people just thought they were the favorite, and it wasn't, people were saying them or Denver. And so when Denver lost in the semifinals, now you had, Minnesota versus Dallas potentially going to face Boston. Well, at that point, we didn't know it was Boston, but most people assumed it was Boston, that Indiana wasn't going to get past Boston. So he was saying, Jayson Tatum, is that Denver matched up the best with the Celtics, and so it gave them more confidence that they were going to win, because they were out. I do agree that Denver was a worse matchup than Dallas and, potentially Minnesota. Not necessarily from a size standpoint, because I feel like Minnesota and Denver have a similar advantage against the Celtics in terms of the size, presence in the paint. But the inexperience from Minnesota and, other things that team had, or didn't have rather, is why Denver would have been a better matchup, right? I do agree that while some people may still say that the Celtics were the better team, even if Denver was playing them in the finals, I do think it would be an issue of how are you going to stop Jokic? Who was going to, there was no way Al Horford, and I love Al Horford. I love Al Horford. There was no way that he was going to be able to guard Jokic. No way. It wasn't going to happen. If Anthony Davis can't guard Jokic, and, he does his thing and he tries his best and, he can bother him sometimes as well. But, if Anthony Davis, who is technically still in his prime, he had, the best year of his career last year and one of the best defenders in the NBA, can't guard Jokic or stop him, how is Al Horford expected to do that? And you have to remember, Porzingis, while he is a better defender than people give him credit for, he is not a defensive player of the year either. And he was injured, so there was no way he was going to be able to guard Jokic. So I do agree with Jayson Tatum where, like, that would have been a really big issue in the finals because not only Jokic would get his way and be able to score on anybody, like literally anybody, but we know Jokic likes to, play point guard, basically. And so now you have an issue where he's getting his teammates involved, and the problem is the Celtics, in this scenario, might have to be double teaming Jokic. And so now everybody is wide open. And we know Jamal Murray, he can get hot. Like, we've seen him in the playoffs. He goes crazy. If he is on, it doesn't matter whose hand is in his face. He's making every shot. It literally doesn't matter. And so, with that being said, I do understand what Jayson Tatum is saying. I do think they would have had some kind of issue there because they also have the experience. They've already won a title. Not that there's no pressure, but like the Celtics would have had way more pressure to win the title than Denver would. You know what I'm saying? So I do agree with Jayson Tatum that Denver was probably a better or worse matchup, however you look at it, for the Celtics. Now, does that mean that the Celtics still wouldn't have won the title even if they were playing Denver? Not necessarily, because again, the Celtics did have a lot of talent and they had a lot of things going for them. I definitely do think it would have been a longer series for sure. It would have been a longer series. We could have seen a 7-game series potentially. Thank you for the rose. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I don't really know what the roses mean on here, to be honest, but I appreciate that. I'm new to live streaming, so I don't know what all the features mean, but I do know that a rose is a good thing, so I appreciate that. So I do think it would have been a better matchup. Like, I do think we could have seen like a 7-game series potentially, and we may have seen a world where Denver goes back to back. Like, we could have seen that. And then oppositely, like, let's just say the Celtics didn't win the title, right? Like, they didn't make it, or even if they made it to the NBA Finals, but they didn't win the title. Do we think that the offseason would have went the same for the Celtics? Like, you have to remember, I do think Jayson Tatum was still going to get that, large extension regardless. Like, it's Jayson Tatum. But if they didn't win the title, and remember earlier, they extended Porzingis and they extended Drew Holiday. So do we think that during this offseason we would have seen them actually maybe trade Porzingis or Drew Holiday? And I'm not calling for them to trade them. I'm not saying they would have, but I'm just saying, like, hypothetically, if they still didn't get it done, could there be a world where they traded them right away? I see a comment that says, how about the Blazers? Do we move on from Simons? Well, let's see. I was going to say a little off topic, but let me think about it for a second. I think Anthony Simons, and I made a video on this, is like the odd man out at this point, which is kind of crazy because he's still really young. But like, he's the odd man out because you have Shaedon Sharpe and you have Scoot. So they're trying to build around those two. And even though Anthony Simons is only like 23, 24, which is crazy that like they need to move on from him. However, he has a significantly larger contract than those two. And because they're not ready to win a championship or contend right now, there's no point in, I don't want to say no point in paying him that money because I don't mean it that way. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve the money he has. But there is no point in not getting maximum value for him if you're not going to win a championship within the window of his contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're still just rebuilding, literally. So why not trade him to a team where he can at least contend or be in, the playoffs at least? So Anthony Simons, maybe wants to stay with the Blazers. I don't know. But I'm sure he also wants to go to the playoffs and potentially win a title. So it could be a world where it's a win-win for everybody. He gets to go to a team where he gets to at least go to the playoffs and potentially make noise to win a title, maybe. And then the Blazers, will get whatever they get back for him. I don't know what that will be, but at least they will get value in return. But again, it's a weird situation because Anthony Simons is only like 23, 24. So it's kind of like you're trading him, but like I guess you're expecting to get back picks and maybe like an expiring contract more so, because you can't get much younger and talented than Anthony Simons, if that makes sense. Like usually when you do that kind of trade, something like that, it'll be someone who is kind of like the Siakam trade. Let's talk about the Siakam trade. Now I'm trying to remember who Siakam got traded for. Who did he get traded for? Wow, who did Siakam get traded for Indiana? Somebody write in the comments, because I literally can't remember. But it's, okay, let's do the OG trade, because I remember who OG was traded for. OG, in his prime, right, was traded to the Knicks for a young Quickly and a young Barrett. And OG wasn't even old either. But, like, OG was traded for 2 younger players who could potentially help the Raptors in the future. And so I'm saying for Anthony Simons, he is part of somebody's future. You know what I'm saying? Like, trading Anthony Simons for an RJ Barrett, let's say, just for an example, is kind of like the same thing in a way, because it's a similar age group with similar, potential, you know what I'm saying? So like, it is a weird situation, but I just feel like because they have the plethora of guards, that's kind of why he is the odd man out and will probably be moved at some point. So, yeah, that's my opinion on that. I don't remember what I was saying before that, but I do want to mention one more time to all the people who did just join. Hello, everybody. I have this new feature on here where it's a subscription, and basically you'll have exclusive access to subscription or subscriber only live streams and subscriber only content. And so you'll have exclusive access to certain things. It's on my profile. You can click on it. And so I'm really excited, and I appreciate anybody who, joins and participates. Of course, again, I will still have content that is, not non-subscriber, content, basically. But there will be some exclusive, content, live streams moving forward that will be for subscribers only. So I really appreciate everybody who, joins and everybody who is supporting me. I really, really appreciate it. Like, when I come on here, I am so excited to see all you guys and talk basketball. Like, this is so much fun for me. Seriously. So I really appreciate all of you. So basically I wanted to talk about, come on here and talk about the Jayson Tatum thing, talk about his comments, because I have a good feeling that tomorrow all the sports shows are going to be talking about them and talking about what did Jayson Tatum mean by this, and is Jayson Tatum XYZ? Like, there's going to be a whole plethora of things that they talk about in regards to Jayson Tatum. And so I see someone said, what did he say? So just quickly, for anybody who just joined, Jayson Tatum said that he knew that the Celtics were going to win the championship when Denver got knocked out of the playoffs. And if you, were here earlier, I was talking about whether or not I think that's true and all those things. But basically he was saying he knew the Celtics were going to win when Denver was knocked out by Minnesota. So I really appreciate everybody who joined, and I appreciate the person who sent the roses again. I have to look up exactly what the roses mean because like I said, I'm new to live streaming. I haven't done it too much on here. And so I really appreciate it, and I'll look up what that means. So shout out to whoever that person was. Appreciate you. So thank you guys for joining, and I'll see you soon. Bye!